Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Zelensky was asked to leave the White House. Then he appeared on Fox News and said he thinks he can still salvage his relationship with President Trump, which is like Justin Baldoni saying, I'd love to work with Blake again.
The internet exploded. Headlines screamed. GIFs and memes flooded social media, all centered around one excruciatingly awkward moment. Blake Lively, seemingly humiliated on live television. The perpetrator? None other than Colin Jost, the Weekend Update anchor and husband of Lively's husband's ex-wife, Scarlett Johansson. What began as Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's anticipated return to the public eye at Saturday Night Live's star-studded 50th anniversary special quickly devolved into a public relations nightmare, leaving many wondering if Hollywood had finally turned its back on its once golden couple, and particularly on Blake Lively herself.
After what I can only assume Ryan Reynolds thought was a triumphant appearance on Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary, he must not have loved seeing Colin Jost come back to Saturday Night Live last night with a joke at his wife Blake Lively's expense.
The air crackled with anticipation as Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively graced the SNL stage. It was meant to be a triumphant re-entry, a carefully orchestrated return to the spotlight after weeks of swirling controversy surrounding a messy lawsuit. Yet the celebratory atmosphere was fragile, a thin veneer masking the underlying tension. No one could have predicted the sharp, unexpected turn the evening would take. A turn that would leave Blake Lively visibly stunned and the internet ablaze with speculation about whether Hollywood's sweetheart had just been publicly dethroned.
Another day comes yet another clip that makes both Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively look like massive hypocrites. I just can't get over how many are coming in. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is now caught talking about staring at a stranger who was feeding their baby. And it sounds so bad given Blake's complaint now. I can't even. Also, we got to talk about Deadpool showing up at the Oscars and Blake's co-star Blandon Scanar. My God, he's so boring. This guy on the red carpet is just so vapid and interesting. If you got nothing to say, dude, don't go to the interviews trying to make yourself a thing because you know you're going to get pressed this question. And every time he gets answered it now, he wants nothing to do with supporting Blake, which is the complete opposite of Paul Feig, who has a movie coming out starring Blake. So he's got to be nice. Of course, he wants his movie to do well. It wouldn't be good to be crapping on his co-star right before it's launched. So I can't be mad at him, but Brandon just will not pick a side.
What unfolded was nothing short of a public takedown. Colin Jost, stepping up to the Weekend Update desk, delivered a joke so pointed, so precisely aimed, that it resonated far beyond the studio audience. It was a joke at Blake Lively's expense, a jab laced with Hollywood insider knowledge and delivered with a casual, almost dismissive air that amplified its impact tenfold. The joke hung in the air, a silent accusation, a public pronouncement of a shift in industry sentiment. What should have been a lighthearted celebration of comedic history instead became a stark, uncomfortable moment. A public humiliation played out on live television for millions to witness.
And then we've also got this story, Justin Baldoni. Now, as you know, these jokes are written like sometimes up until the minute. They literally have cue card guys in the back getting high off the fumes of Sharpies, writing these jokes down as they sort of adjust depending on the times. They shoot an episode 2 hours beforehand, like 9 or 10 p.m. They shoot an episode. They don't air it, they just record it, and depending on how the audience reacts, they'll adjust things. So if a joke bombs and you don't believe in it, you might cut it. And I say that because there was a lot of discussion about Ryan Reynolds and the joke he told and how he rewrote it for the crew. That's super normal. If he's going to be the person saying something out loud, he has input on what is said. In the end, if they don't think it's funny, they'll let him know and they'll collaborate in that direction. But it wasn't that the joke wasn't funny because the audience laughed. It was that when you break down the joke that Ryan Reynolds said, you realize kind of like oh man, imagine if the genders were reversed. This would be an absolute monstrous thing to make fun of.
The irony was thick enough to cut with a knife. Ryan Reynolds, in what many perceived as a desperate attempt to deflect from the mounting legal drama, had brought Blake Lively as his +1 to SNL's anniversary bash. They likely envisioned a united front, a display of unwavering coupledom amidst the storm. However, their carefully constructed facade crumbled under the weight of Jost's joke. exposing the raw nerves beneath the surface and highlighting the growing chasm between their meticulously crafted public image and the increasingly negative industry whispers.
And everyone laughs, and Blake turned her head. She had that whole thing planned. It's like, oh, I'll look at him, all dramatic. I mean, come on.
Come on. You would think that they would maybe be laying low, but I guess not.
Another day, another damning clip, another layer peeled back from the Reynolds lively fairy tale. Social media was relentless, dissecting every nuance, every micro-expression. A resurfaced video of Ryan Reynolds casually recounting staring at a stranger feeding their baby ignited a fresh wave of outrage. The seemingly innocuous anecdote now viewed through the lens of Blake Lively's own public complaints, painting a picture of hypocrisy and tone deafness. Even Deadpool's unexpected appearance at the Oscars, once considered a playful marketing stunt, was now re-examined with cynical eyes, deemed another misstep in their increasingly clumsy PR campaign.
Zelensky was asked to leave the White House. Then he appeared on Fox News and said he thinks he can still salvage his relationship with President Trump, which is like Justin Baldoni saying, "I'd love to work with Blake again."
The carefully cultivated image of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively as Hollywood's most beloved, relatable couple was, in real time, disintegrating. Years of meticulously crafted social media banter, the endless stream of adorable family photos, the unwavering family-first branding. It all seemed to be unraveling thread by thread, exposing a starkly different reality beneath the surface gloss. The highly publicized legal battle with Justin Baldoni had served as the initial crack in the facade. But the SNL incident was the sledgehammer, shattering the illusion and leaving their carefully curated public persona in tatters.
Also, Blake Lively's now hired a crisis PR person, the same one who attempted to help cover up Hunter Biden's laptop. Oh my goodness, it's getting crazier and crazier by the day. But let's take a moment to unpack this moment, because I'm going to play the clip in a second, but let's again set the tone. It was a couple weeks ago, Saturday Night Live had its 50th anniversary, as we've all seen, and here was Ryan Reynolds with Blake Lively.
Their SNL appearance, intended as a display of resilience and humor in the face of adversity, instead morphed into a masterclass in how asterisk, not asterisk, to handle a PR crisis. Instead of humility, they opted for bravado. Instead of addressing the serious allegations head-on, they attempted to deflect with ill-timed jokes and forced smiles. This miscalculation, this profound misreading of the public mood, proved to be a fatal error, amplifying the negative perceptions and solidifying the growing narrative of a couple out of touch, out of step, and perhaps out of chances.
The next thing you know, she took over the editing. She started making threats that she wouldn't promote the movie, that she wanted to be in control of marketing of the movie, that she would do nothing in terms of promotion unless she was the actual editor.
The audience's reaction to Ryan Reynolds' ill-conceived quip was immediate and telling. When SNL legends Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, icons of comedic grace, tossed Reynolds a softball question, an easy opportunity to regain composure and charm, he fumbled spectacularly. His response, an attempt at humor that fell flat with a resounding thud, instantly shifted the atmosphere in the room. The laughter that followed wasn't the genuine amusement Reynolds was accustomed to eliciting. It was strained, uncomfortable, the forced politeness of secondhand embarrassment. Even Hollywood royalty, luminaries like Steven Spielberg, were visibly uneasy, their expressions betraying a shared sense of cringe.
Do you think that's what he did? We have a clip where his character Deadpool, which is very popular in this movie, acts more like the Justin Baldoni that I said turned me off with the I'm against toxic masculinity. And there's a question about whether he was taking a shot at Justin. Here's the clip.
Who are you? Oh, I'm Deadpool. And I guess you're a Deadpool too. But in here, everybody calls me Nice Pool. Oh my goodness, wait till you see Lady Pool. She is gorgeous. She just had a baby too, and can't even tell. I don't think you're supposed to say that. That's okay. I identify as a feminist. Right.
What I make of that is that if your wife is sexually harassed, you don't make fun of Justin Baldoni. There's no question it relates to Justin. I mean, anybody that can watch that, the hair bun. If somebody is seriously sexually harassed, you don't make fun of it. It's a serious issue.
Beside Reynolds, Blake Lively's reaction was equally telling. Her forced smile faltered, her eyes darted nervously, her carefully constructed composure visibly cracking under the pressure. Her expression, caught by countless cameras and magnified across the internet, spoke volumes, revealing a deep-seated awareness that her husband had just committed a major misstep, a public blunder that would reverberate far beyond the SNL studio. The carefully rehearsed choreography of their public persona, the practiced smiles and knowing glances, suddenly felt hollow, transparent, revealing the raw discomfort beneath.
Blake and her team have added a former CIA agent for crisis comms. And let me tell you, my husband does crisis comms. Like, this is what.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's how bad things are, that she's hiring like a former spy.
What though?
To help clean up this mess, which is not clean upable, okay? This is not fixable at this point.
You have to admit it. You're wrong.
She will not recover from this professionally.
No, it's done.
And he probably won't either.
I think he'll leave her after this, because I think she has taken this so.
But the worst was yet to come. Colin Jost, taking center stage at the weekend update desk, held the room captive. It was clear he wasn't there for just another run-of-the-mill SNL jab. His joke, delivered with surgical precision and a hint of barely concealed steel, wasn't just aimed at Blake Lively. It was a message, a carefully calibrated signal sent directly from Hollywood itself. Jost, married to Scarlett Johansson, Ryan Reynolds' ex-wife, carried a certain weight, his words imbued with an unspoken industry authority.
Okay, I know that everybody is talking about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and obviously all the "it ends with us" drama, but I just learned something that absolutely blew my mind. So literally all this time, I thought that Blake was the one who optioned the rights to "It Ends With Us." Like, she's so tight with Colleen Hoover. I thought for sure she was who brought on Justin Baldoni. So I'd been kind of going, ugh, I don't really like the way that she's handling it, but you know, it's her film, it's her movie, her option, her whole thing. I guess she can call the shots. No, because Justin, 5 years ago, was the one who optioned this film. He brought Blake on because Colleen Hoover is such a big fan. This is his film, and he has basically been pushed out by the Blake Lively show. And that breaks my heart because I've always been a fan of Blake Lively. I've been a fan of her relationship with Ryan Reynolds and the way that they parent their kids. I've always been a fan of her, but this has literally just become like the Blake and Ryan show, like promoting Deadpool Wolverine, promoting her hair care line, all of that. But oh my gosh.
The joke landed like a lightning bolt. A beat of stunned silence hung in the air. A pregnant pause before the laughter erupted, hesitant at first, then growing in volume, a wave of nervous, cathartic release. That split second of hesitation, that collective intake of breath before the laughter, was all it took to confirm the unspoken reality. Hollywood had, in that moment, audibly, publicly, turned on Blake Lively. The industry's patience, it seemed, had finally run out. For months, Blake Lively and her PR team had desperately attempted to control the narrative surrounding the Baldoni lawsuit, meticulously crafting a victim persona, painting herself as the wronged party, while strategically downplaying the serious allegations leveled against her and Reynolds. But the carefully constructed PR spin had reached its limits. Her reputation, once Teflon-coated, had already sustained too many hits, too many dents in its once flawless surface. This moment on SNL, this seemingly innocuous joke, was the final straw, the tipping point.
It's like, girl, no. You published his text messages. Can we just hold on, Blake? You published his text messages in a complaint that wasn't even a lawsuit, and then gave it to the New York Times before you filed it officially. You're a despicable and a massive hypocrite.
Jost's joke didn't just land. It hit with the force of a Hollywood reckoning. It wasn't merely a lighthearted roast. It was a signal, a public pronouncement that the industry no longer viewed Blake Lively as the untouchable A-lister she once was. Her meticulously PR-crafted image as Hollywood's sweetheart, the charming, relatable, effortlessly successful actress, had officially crumbled, exposed as a fragile construct unable to withstand the harsh glare of public scrutiny and industry disapproval. Adding insult to injury, the revelation that Blake Lively had hired a crisis PR specialist, and not just any specialist, but the very same individual who had attempted to help cover up the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, sent shockwaves of disbelief and ridicule through the internet. The hypocrisy was staggering, the irony almost comical in its absurdity. After months of subtly, and not so subtly, accusing Justin Baldoni of manipulating the media and engaging in PR tactics to control the narrative, Lively had resorted to hiring an even more aggressive and arguably more controversial PR operative herself. To understand how the situation had spiraled to such a dramatic point, one must rewind to the genesis of their troubles. It Ends With Us, the film adaptation of Colleen Hoover's beloved novel, a project that had been Justin Baldoni's passion for years, became the epicenter of an industry-wide controversy when Blake Lively was cast in the lead role. What should have been a seamless, harmonious production descended into chaos, plagued by behind-the-scenes power struggles and escalating tensions.
That guy is so boring. This guy on the red carpet is just so vapid and interesting. If you got nothing to say, dude, don't go to the interviews trying to make yourself a thing, because you know you're going to get pressed this question, and every time he gets answered now, he wants nothing to do with supporting Blake.
The whispers soon morphed into concrete accusations. By early 2024, the situation had exploded into a full-blown legal battle. Baldoni's lawsuit against Lively and Reynolds laid bare a litany of damning allegations: manipulation, power plays, and industry sabotage, painting a picture of a couple willing to stop at nothing to assert their dominance and control. Rather than addressing the lawsuit head-on with transparency and accountability, Lively and Reynolds doubled down on their PR strategy, attempting to undermine Baldoni's credibility, leveraging Reynolds' considerable influence to subtly paint the director as problematic and difficult to work with. However, their carefully orchestrated smear campaign began to unravel as details continued to emerge, leaking from the set and whispered among industry insiders. Hollywood, a town built on relationships and reputation, began to subtly, then overtly, distance itself from the once golden couple. One of the major turning points was the public backlash against Reynolds' tone-deaf handling of the lawsuit. Instead of adopting a measured, conciliatory approach, he weaponized his Deadpool persona, slipping veiled jabs at Baldoni into marketing materials for Deadpool and Wolverine, blurring the lines between character and reality in a bizarre, self-defeating PR maneuver. What should have been a straightforward superhero movie promotion devolved into a bizarre, grudge-fueled campaign, making Reynolds look less like a witty, self-aware A-lister and more like someone desperately clinging to control, willing to exploit his own popular character to settle personal scores. The public, and more importantly, Hollywood, didn't buy it. The Deadpool shtick, once charming and irreverent, now felt forced, inappropriate, and ultimately, deeply unlikable.
This woman from Hollywood Reporter, asked about Blake.
I know you're very supportive over your female co-stars as well. Blake Lively, how are you hoping to support her during this time?
I mean, it's a tough situation, and
No, it's not. No, it's not a tough situation at all. You are either on Blake's side still, in which case you support Blake, or you're not. It's not that tough. Chat, is this tough?
Meanwhile, Blake Lively's own missteps only served to exacerbate the already dire situation. A now infamous interview with journalist Kirsty Flahaven showcased a starkly different side of Lively, one that was dismissive, condescending, and utterly devoid of the charm and warmth she so carefully projected in public. A polite, straightforward question from Flahaven was met with an unnecessarily sharp, almost hostile response from Lively, instantly turning public sentiment against her. It wasn't just online fans who noticed the shift. Major media outlets, once reliable protectors of Lively's flawless public image, began subtly shifting their tone, their coverage becoming more critical, less forgiving. The carefully constructed wall of positive press was crumbling, brick by brick. And then came the most shocking revelation: Lively's hiring of an ex-CIA crisis management specialist to handle her spiraling PR nightmare. This move, intended to be discreet, to silently pull the strings behind the scenes, instead backfired spectacularly, solidifying the perception that she was indeed in a full-blown crisis, desperately attempting to control a narrative that was rapidly spinning out of her grasp. The hypocrisy was staggering, the irony almost unbearable. After months of insinuating that Baldoni was manipulating the media and engaging in PR tactics to control the story, Lively had resorted to an even more aggressive and arguably more ethically questionable strategy herself. Her credibility, already teetering on the brink, took yet another devastating hit. As the legal battle progressed and the PR disasters mounted, it became increasingly clear that Ryan Reynolds was not merely a supportive husband caught in the crossfire. He was an active and arguably driving force behind the behind-the-scenes power plays. Reports surfaced of a secret meeting held in March 2024, a clandestine gathering where Reynolds, Lively, and key industry executives allegedly strategized ways to completely push Baldoni out of the It Ends With Us project. Witnesses, speaking anonymously, described Reynolds as aggressive and determined to remove Baldoni at any cost. A stark contrast to the easygoing, affable public persona he had so meticulously crafted over years.
I hear we've got new gin in this movie.
Yeah, we certainly do. My Artingstall gin, exactly. It creeps up on my movies occasionally, but yeah, I was like, okay, this time it's going in. We had aviation last time. We got Artingstalls this time.
I wonder if that was part of the negotiation. Blake, I'll be nice, but I get to promote my gin this time, not yours. Because, yeah, this time there won't be aviation gin. It'll be his gin. Paul Feig has his own gin, and good for him. He gets to tell Blake no and get his in instead.
By January 2025, Ryan Reynolds found himself formally named in Baldoni's lawsuit, his carefully constructed image as Hollywood's most likable star rapidly dissolving. Hollywood, always quick to distance itself from perceived liabilities, took notice. Studios began quietly severing ties, co-stars became conspicuously silent, and projects Reynolds was once attached to suddenly became shrouded in uncertainty. His career, built on charm and relatability, was teetering on the precipice of collapse. Lively, too, was facing a seismic shift in industry perception. Insiders began speaking more openly, more freely, about her alleged difficult behavior on set. Former Gossip Girl cast members, emboldened by the changing tide, revealed past conflicts and tensions. Crew members from It Ends With Us, freed from NDAs and the fear of professional repercussions, shared stories of Lively's alleged control issues and demanding behavior. Whispers about her alleged efforts to sideline Penn Badgley during Gossip Girl, a long-rumored industry secret, resurfaced, adding to the growing consensus that her A-list persona was just that, a carefully constructed act. A resurfaced 2009 Glamour UK interview, in which a young Blake Lively casually admitted to trying to poison the cast of Gossip Girl against her co-star Penn Badgley, went viral, the youthful indiscretion now viewed through a far more critical lens. Reports that Lively and Leighton Meester, who played best friends on Gossip Girl, were not actually friends during the show's 6-season run, further fueled the narrative of a carefully constructed facade and a less-than-charming off-screen persona. Intriguingly, neither Meester nor Badgley followed Lively on Instagram, a subtle but telling detail in the hyper-connected world of Hollywood. With every new damaging development, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's status as Hollywood royalty slipped further and further away. SNL's 50th anniversary special, intended as their comeback moment, instead became the final nail in the coffin of their carefully constructed reputations. Colin Jost's joke wasn't just a one-off punchline, it was Hollywood's way of publicly declaring that the industry had moved on, that the once golden couple had become a liability. The deafening silence from their peers, the subtle but unmistakable distancing from industry insiders, spoke volumes. The couple who once seemed untouchable had become a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the dangers of believing your own hype and mistaking carefully crafted PR for genuine public affection.
Did not see this coming. I did not think that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds would be the people that united this country, and it has happened. The most liberal people I know are now obsessively following Candace Owens for her take in journalism on the situation. Thank you, Ryan and Blake, for having such terrible personalities that we are now united as a country.
Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, though he may have lost control of It Ends With Us, ultimately emerged as the victor in the court of public opinion. His reputation remained intact, his credibility strengthened by his professional, measured handling of the controversy, a stark contrast to the Reynolds-Lively's theatrics and PR missteps. The industry, always astute in discerning authenticity from artifice, recognized the difference between an artist trying to tell a story and celebrities attempting to control an empire. The internet, ever the relentless judge and jury, dissected every facet of their public downfall, amplifying the negative narratives and fueling the growing sense of disillusionment. The SNL incident became a viral sensation, dissected and reshared across every social media platform. Side-by-side comparisons of Lively's past interviews, Reynolds' history of industry power plays, and Baldoni's carefully worded responses flooded the online sphere, solidifying the shift in public opinion. Fans, once adoring and unquestioning, began to openly question their authenticity, their carefully crafted personas, their very likability. Public sympathy, once firmly in their corner, leaned heavily in Baldoni's favor. The contrast between his professional demeanor and their flippant approach only serving to amplify their perceived arrogance and tone deafness.
This whole thing was nuts. Nothing Blake's accusing Justin of was even that bad. Well, anyway, back on to Ryan. Look who's here at the Oscars last night. Deadpool.
Someone who's not even nominated. Dancing Deadpool.
No one even clapped. No one even clapped. No one even clapped when Dancing Deadpool came in. And interestingly enough, they did clap when a sandworm playing the piano came in.
As media coverage intensified, more and more industry figures, emboldened by the changing tide, began to speak out. Former collaborators, anonymous sources from past productions, even journalists who had previously worked closely with Lively and Reynolds, were now willing to share details they had once kept quiet. Stories of difficult negotiations, controlling behavior, and behind-the-scenes conflicts, painting an increasingly damaging picture of a couple whose carefully constructed empire was now crumbling in real time. The fallout from the SNL moment extended far beyond Hollywood's inner circles. Major brands that had previously flocked to partner with Reynolds and Lively, drawn to their perceived golden couple image and massive social media reach, began quietly distancing themselves. Lucrative advertising deals, once abundant, were now suddenly at risk. While neither actor was facing outright cancellation in the traditional sense, they were certainly seeing the tangible consequences of their missteps in ways that were becoming impossible to ignore, impacting their careers, their finances, and their carefully cultivated public personas.
It's really destroying Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's image, bro.
What happened?
It all revolves around like fake allegations towards Justin Baldoni, right? So Blake Lively's claiming that there were allegations towards Justin Baldoni, and Justin's like, I have all the receipts, I have all the videos. So it's just a lot of drama.
Even their most devoted fans, the die-hard loyalists who had defended them through thick and thin, struggled to maintain their unwavering support. Social media threads dedicated to meticulously breaking down their history, from Lively's past feuds with colleagues to Reynolds' more aggressive Hollywood dealings, gained traction, attracting a growing chorus of voices questioning why they had ever so readily bought into the carefully curated image the couple had presented for so long. The more the internet analyzed their actions, the more it became chillingly clear that their fall from grace wasn't a sudden, isolated event. It was a slow, insidious erosion, years in the making, finally reaching its inevitable climax.
It's just so thrilling in our house right now. We help each other. We work together so much. The iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you now. But he wrote the rooftop scene. He works on everything I do. I work on everything he does. So his wins, his celebrations are mine, and mine are his. I mean, he's all over this film. And Hugh Jack.
We know. In a bizarre twist of fate, the downfall of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, two of Hollywood's most consistently liberal voices, inadvertently achieved something almost unthinkable. It united a deeply divided nation. As one bewildered commentator wryly observed, "I did not see this coming. I did not think that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds would be the people that united this country. The most liberal people I know are now obsessively following Candace Owens for her take in journalism on the situation. Thank you, Ryan and Blake, for having such terrible personalities that we are now united as a country."
A 2009 Glamour UK interview by Blake Lively, and in her interview, she admitted to trying to poison the cast of Gossip Girl, which is where she made her name, against her co-star Penn Badgley, who played her love interest, Dan Humphrey, on the show. She said, "At first I was so upset that they had hired him. I actually poisoned the whole cast against him." And she goes on to say, "But then they noticed that he wasn't a jerk and was actually a nice, charming person. And almost immediately I realized it too. But it took me about a week to admit it." And here's the thing. Reports were that Blake Lively and Leighton Meester, who played best friends on that show, were not friends during the 6-season run of the show. Leighton Meester and Penn Badgley and other Gossip Girl co-stars have remained silent in the wake of the Baldoni legal drama. Neither Meester nor Badgley follow Lively on Instagram.
While Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively had once positioned themselves as the untouchable golden couple of Hollywood, their actions over the past year, culminating in the SNL debacle and the relentless internet backlash, had fundamentally shifted public perception. Their ill-fated attempt to control the "it ends with us" narrative had backfired spectacularly, costing them not only the trust of the industry, but also shattering their once bulletproof brand. The days of being untouchable were over, and they now faced the same harsh industry scrutiny that had taken down so many before them. Their carefully constructed fairy tale exposed as nothing more than a meticulously crafted and ultimately unsustainable illusion. The industry darlings had become a cautionary tale, their golden sheen tarnished, perhaps irrevocably. And as Hollywood moved forward, the era of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively as the undisputed kings and queens of the A-list had undeniably come to an end.
Is anyone else seeing the gaslighting from Blake and Ryan, constantly trying to just wave things that we've seen with our own minds and pretend like they didn't happen? It's truly maddening.
But even amidst the wreckage of their shattered reputations, the question of what came next lingered. Would they attempt a carefully calculated comeback? A meticulously planned image rehabilitation campaign designed to win back public favor? Would Reynolds lean into his signature self-deprecating humor, attempting to spin the entire scandal as just another chapter in his ever-evolving career narrative, a testament to his relatable fallibility? Would Lively, perhaps, strategically step back from the spotlight, retreating from public view to re-emerge in a few years with a rebranded image, a carefully crafted narrative of redemption and self-reflection? Or would they simply fade away, joining the long list of former Hollywood power couples who had flown too close to the sun, their flames extinguished by the unforgiving glare of public scrutiny and industry disapproval? One thing, however, remained unequivocally certain. Their ill-conceived return to the public eye at SNL's anniversary special, intended as a strategic re-entry into Hollywood's good graces, had instead cemented their status as one of the most talked-about cautionary tales in recent industry history. A stark reminder that in the fickle world of fame, even the most carefully constructed illusions can shatter, and even the brightest stars can, just as quickly, fade into the unforgiving darkness. The final act of their Hollywood drama, it seemed, was yet to be written, and the audience, the ever-watchful eyes of the world, were waiting, with bated breath, to see what, if anything, would rise from the ashes of their spectacularly public downfall.